Hey guys, welcome back to Mod Pop Thrift. My name is Tom, and this is going to be just a straightforward what sold video. I've sold $10,000 in the last month, and I wanted to show you guys the highlights. I'm going to try and do this pretty quick. I'm going to go from the most recent to the oldest and see how long it takes me to get there. And I'll just talk about what I paid for something, why I bought it, how long I've had it, and hopefully we get through a handful before this gets too long and too boring. So I've sold a handful of these Godzilla figures right after the Christmas season of 2019. So early 2020. Walmart clearanced out a bunch of these and I picked them up, and I thought I was going to sell them Christmas 2020. Turns out they're selling now like hotcakes, and they're worth way more than I expected them to be worth. I sold these big figures. I listed them and sold out within a week, and they sold for like a lot of money. I'll put the comps up. And then this one just sold for $39.99 plus shipping, and it's the smaller figures. So if you see these Godzilla is not going out of style, ever. Like, he's a Ninja Turtle, he's Mickey Mouse. He's gonna have a place in pop culture for a long time. Band t-shirt, this one is Tool. I think I figured out that it's from like 2002, but it was missing the hang tag in the back, and it wasn't single stitch, but Tool is a band that's gonna be able to sell stuff. This one, so I picked up for $2.48. I've had it for maybe 6 weeks, sold for $55. This is a vintage South Park coffee mug, sold for $21.99, which is a pretty good price for a coffee mug. The sold comps are there to justify it, asking that price. I paid $1 for it, and I knew that some of the older South Park stuff South Park still has a following, and some of the oldest stuff can be super valuable. So I thought I'd take a shot on this for $1, and I'm glad I did. These boots were $5 at a thrift store that I frequent, and all their boots are $5 and all their shoes are $3.50. These are not a brand I'd ever heard of, but they were super high quality, and they didn't have a size tag in them, but when you turn them over, the sole has a European, I think they were 47, the European size, which equates to a men's size 12, but they were just a heavy duty boot. And I was like, these are high quality. I don't care if I've never heard of them. For $5, I'm gonna buy them. They sold for $79.99, free shipping. This Hardee's coffee mug is from 1999. This is like the fourth one that I've sold in a year. They sell in a week normally for like 15 bucks. And so when I saw this one for 50 cents, I was like, shoot, yeah, I'm gonna buy that because it's an easy flip. The very next thing on the list is a radio that I picked up forever ago. And I was like, oh, one of these days I'm gonna figure out what to do with it. Well, I didn't. So I listed it broken, untested. It takes a special power cord I don't have, or a battery that they don't make anymore. So I wasn't going to test it. This is a 2-amp radio, but it super looks like Atomic Mid-Century Modern Sputnik Starburst. And so it's going to fit in that decor, and somebody's going to be able to make this thing go. It has the tubes in it still, and it's probably a $150 radio if it works. I sold it essentially untested for $35, free shipping. These are jack stands, and they were left in this house when I bought the house, and I knew that they had some value. I mean, they're a mechanic's part. So, but I didn't expect them to be worth a fortune, and they're not a fortune. I mean, they're something I got for free. They sold for $65 plus shipping, and they're from Kmart. They were never a high-end thing to start with. The new ones, are heavier duty, but they're also heavier to carry around. I don't know why somebody would want vintage Kmart brand jack stands, but at $65, they're cheaper than buying new ones. These sold reasonably quickly for $65. These skull caps I got in a lot of Harley Davidson stuff that a thrift store sat aside saying, oh, we thought you might be interested in these, because I buy Harley stuff with some frequency. They know I'm a reseller. I didn't pay much for them, $1 or $2 a piece. But they're not the kind of thing, they don't carry the kind of value that makes them worth listing individually. And so I listed them all three as a lot for $26.99 plus shipping, and I got it in a couple of days. And then this vintage Woolrich is an Aztec pattern, which makes it appealing. It's Woolrich, which makes it appealing. It's a vintage, which makes it appealing. It's a fleece pullover. We're going into that season. I picked it up for $4 at a garage sale and just held out knowing that when the weather broke it would sell. Sold for $44.99. This one's going to be a little out of sync. This is a Garrett electronic vintage metal detector. It takes like 8 9-volt batteries to run this thing. I wasn't going to go buy 8 9-volt batteries to try to test something that I don't really know how it works anyway. And I found this one at a garage sale that was run by a viewer of the channel, Dennis, and I think his wife's name was Tracy. And they are resellers themselves, but they kind of got out of doing the auction thing, from what I understand. But they welcomed me to their house a couple of times to buy some things. I got 2 metal detectors from them. This one, which sold for $59 plus shipping, and it went overseas as Dennis predicted when I bought it from him. I paid $100 for both, and so this one sold. It was probably listed for 3 weeks, and then in that $100 bundle, I was also able to buy this White's metal detector. It's the Coin Master. I sold it as is parts not working because I couldn't get, I don't remember what part I couldn't get. Oh, the speaker. Like you could hear it through when you plugged in the headphones, and it had a volume knob, but it never made a noise without the headphones. And I read the manual and went through the testing, and I just am not confident. And so it sold for $149 plus shipping, parts not working. And what was cool about it was it came in this case, but in that case, there was this extra head for it. And the extra head I pulled out and sold for $50 free shipping. And I think all of those parts, maybe the extra head went to Texas, but the other 2, like Dennis said, told me when I picked them up that they were going to probably go overseas. And I think he was right on the 2 metal detectors. $100, the $260 plus shipping. So after fees, I probably doubled my money. So I went in, and Dennis was like, just make me an offer on them. You're not going to offend me. And so I said 75, and he said, I really wasn't trying to take less than 100. And so I went and got $100 and got these 2 metal detectors, and it didn't take too awful long for me to make my money. I appreciate the deal and you watching the channel, Dennis. I just thought this was really neat. For like $2, I picked up this 1976 Kermit, and he sold for $17.99 plus shipping. And he was only listed a couple of days. And I like the Muppets, I like Kermit, and I like selling plush. Super easy to make that money. Everybody raves about New Wave oven stuff, parting them out and selling them complete. This New Wave Precision Pro is just like a hot plate, basically. And I saw it for $15, and I seem to recall a couple of resellers that I watch on YouTube picking them up. So I was like, I'll take a chance on it. I should have comped it because $15 was too much to pay for that. Sold for $37.49 free shipping. So it cost me like $12 to ship, and I just barely even made money at all if I didn't just straight break even. I don't think I lost, but I didn't win. But I did win on this one. This is a SSP. If you guys aren't familiar, I've sold these on the channel some, but you don't find them very often. So these are cars that have this ripcord, and you pull the ripcord, they speed off on a giant wheel that's in the middle. And this was at an estate sale. There was the carrying case that I'd never seen before, and then there were 2 cars, and the carrying case was $9 and the cars were $2 a piece. One of them had the ripcord. The ripcord is hard to find. I've actually never owned one of these ripcords at the same time as owning a car. So I comped everything out individually. The one orange car is a derby car, and so you're supposed to wreck them together, and the doors pop off, and the trunk pops off, and the hood pops off, and everything was missing except for the hood on the derby car. And then the other car was in really nice shape, and the engine block carrying case is pretty rare. It's worth about $70 or $80 all by itself, but I didn't know that when I found it at the yard sale. So for like $9 on the carrying case and $1 a piece on the cars, I'm $11. It sold for $124.99 and it was listed for maybe 48 hours. Those SSPs, I would put them on par with He-Man, G.I. Joe, Star Wars toys. They don't have the you don't see them nearly as often as you see that stuff because there weren't as many people looking for them, but the people who want them are passionate about them and they will pay premium prices and buy, and you'll sell them up fast. So if you see SSP by Kenner, it's normally early to mid 70s. Like these pieces were 70 and 72, I think. 71 is what I put in the listing. So I think maybe that case was from 71. But so they're for you. I mean, you're not seeing toys from the early 70s much anymore. But if you find these cars, even parts, then they're gonna sell. People want them and want to fix them up. But the ripcord would sell by itself. Those cars by themselves, I think the purple one would probably have sold for $50 all by itself, and the orange car would have been $50 if it had all the parts. As it was, I bet it was 20. So I was like 70 and 20 and 40. Let's do 125 and see if we can get it moved quick. And 125 plus shipping, and it moved in a hurry, and I expected it to. Okay, so I picked up these Converse, and I knew that they were in demand. These Converse that are high top, they for goth girls is what I think of when I see them. But I'm sure there's other people who would wear them. They're just a little bit unusual. They zip up the back and then have laces so they look like they're laced up, kind of knee-high Converse All-Stars. I picked them up at Goodwill for $10. I had them listed for $149.99, and I had a lady send me an offer for $125, and we went back and forth a little bit because I think we had gone back and forth and ran out of offers, so I had to take them down and relist them for $125. And anyway, she ended up buying them, and what was really odd was they went to Authenticity Guaranteed in Las Vegas as opposed to her, and then they FedExed them to her, and it went reasonably quickly. The shoes got authenticated. I didn't have any doubt that they would, and she got them and is happy with them. Made over $100 on that pair of shoes because they sold with the authenticity guarantee and sold for over $100. I don't think I paid any eBay fees on that, so that's good. So if you find expensive shoes and they go through authenticity guarantee, they don't go to your customer. You ship them to eBay and they authenticate them and they ship them to your customer. I didn't realize that. I didn't know how it worked because normally I don't sell shoes for over $100, but that's how it works. Street Sharks. If you find a Street Shark, buy the Street Sharks. Street Sharks, they're another thing that's really people are mad about that get into them. I would say a lot of people don't even know what they are, but the people who collect Street Sharks spend money, buy them quickly, and are excited to get them. So this was Super Slammo. He's supposed to have a shield on his hand that shoots out like a bullet, like you pull the thing on his back and it shoots, toys. But he was missing that. So this is just a loose figure in reasonably good condition, sold for $32.99. I got offers like $10, and I think it was free shipping. And people just being stupid. But in like 3 or 4 days, it sold for full asking price, and I knew that it would. I picked it up for $1.99 as an unmarked action figure at local Goodwill. I picked up this Power Ranger. I think I might have, maybe I did an Instagram Reels about it or something else. I feel like I did talk about this when I picked it up. Maybe it was just an Instagram post. Anyway, I picked it up at a thrift store where it was not marked on the floor with the regular toys. And it's like, not only is it new in package from 1994, but it was in the bag that probably it was a break pack ordered for whatever reason. But when they break pack them, they put them in bags. This was in the break pack bag and just said Red Power Ranger and had some Walmart stock keeping stuff on the sticker on the bag. And then it was new in the package. And I felt like that added some appeal to it. I don't know that it did, but it's never been on the shelf. And it's obvious that it's never been on the shelf. So at any rate, I listed it for like $100, $110, I think. And it sat around longer than I expected it to. And so I lowered it to, longer than I expected to was like 6 weeks. And I lowered it to $89.99. And then somebody sent me an offer of $75.99. And I'm like, I've got nothing into this thing. Now, I did say that it was unmarked on the shelf at the thrift store, and that thrift store had just, I don't know what the turmoil was, but there's no one who works there that worked there 6 months ago, and everybody that is there is new to working at a thrift store. So, and it's a ministry thing. I feel like they had some issues where they had to move people out, and they just moved in people that were already working for the ministry to do this thrift store thing, and they're great people. But I brought this thing up, and the guy's like, "Oh man, this was unmarked on the floor. Okay, I guess it's $3." And I was like, "Dude, let me give you 10 for it, because I know I'm fine with 10, and I don't feel like I want to. I don't know what it's worth, but I certainly don't want to pay $3 and have you feel bad about it." So he remembered that, and he gives me deals on stuff and shows me stuff to make him an offer on now, because I'm try to be fair with him. Anyway, so this sold for $75.99, free shipping, but it sat around a little bit longer than I expected it to. But obviously, if you find brand new and packaged Power Ranger stuff, pick it up. That's a bolo, as if you didn't already know. I went to a yard sale a couple of weeks ago. It's been a while. It's been a while since I made any videos. This one yard sale, they had 2 super nice pairs of Jordan children's shoes. And so I picked them up, both of them. I think I paid $5 for the pair. One was 3 and one was 2. Maybe it was a little bit more than that. It doesn't matter. It was less than $10 for these 2 pairs of Nikes. These were kids size 6. And if you don't know, a kid size 6, there's no difference between what would be a men's size 6 and a kid size 6. When they start calling them like 6Y, 7Y, 5Y, those are a continuation of the men's size, but they don't expect men to actually wear that size, so they call it a youth size, but it's a scale straight up with the size 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 is considered men's, but it's the same size scale all the way down. It isn't that way with women's shoes. So when I sell a larger size pair of kids' shoes like these Jordans that sold for $42.99, I list them as 6Y youth, women's 7.5. You can find those conversion charts all over the place to see what a 6Y would be in a women's size shoe. And so I suspect that somebody who's paying $43 plus shipping for a pair of shoes is not a kid. And so maybe it's a woman looking for those shoes, or maybe it's some kid whose parents don't mind spending $43 plus shipping on a used pair of shoes. But I figure I broaden my market, even though I list them as youth unisex shoes and they're 6Y. I add into my title women's size 7.5 because I feel like it broadens the market for those shoes, and so hopefully they sell. They're more likely to sell if they have more people looking at them. But the other pair of Jordan shoes were size 13, so they're really small kid shoes. They're not on that men's scale. But they sold for $29.99, free shipping. And so the $10 worth of shoes. Say, hi, Mom and Pop.
Hi, Pop.
Not Pop. Pop is what she calls my dad. Say, hi, Mom and Pop Thrift.
Hi, Mom, Pop Thrift.
So the other pair of shoes sold for $29. So those were legit children's shoes, and they sold for $30. But they were in fantastic condition. These Red Wings I picked up for $15 at Goodwill. I felt like I was paying up for them, but $15 paying up for Red Wings, I felt like it was I don't normally pay $15 for shoes, but for these, I felt like it was a reasonable price to pay. They were pretty beat up, but they still sold in a week for $68 plus shipping. Golf clubs. Now, we might be getting out of golf club season, but I mean, it never stops being golf club season in California and Florida. But I paid $10 for a bag full of clubs. And in that bag full of clubs was this set that was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 irons for Mizuno MK20, I think is what it was. Yeah, MX20. So these, and they sold for $116 plus shipping. And I was able to get all 7 of those clubs in one flat rate, or one tube. I just had to extend the tube, so I had to use 2 tubes and smash them together because of the height of the like 3 iron. Anytime I find hardcover books that are reasonably priced at a yard sale, or thrift store and they're in a huge, large series, I pick them up. I did super well on that Tea Party or Tea Room Mysteries, I think was the name of that set. I'll put that up. I don't remember if I showed you guys that or not. I paid $9 for that set of like 18 and it sold for a tremendous amount of money. I don't remember what. This was a very similar thing, Patchwork Mysteries, and they're Christian mystery series, and this was 1 through 11, and they sold for $35, but I only paid $2 for the set in a box. So anytime you find these hardcover, they're pastel, all the ones that I do well on are pastel-y colors looking, so I kind of have an eye out for them, but these sold for $35.99 plus shipping, and they were only listed like 3 or 4 days, and I paid $2 for them. This is interesting. This is a Magnavox. I had a Magnavox, and I was trying to make a video for you guys. I had a Magnavox DVD VCR recorder combo unit, but the VCR was eating tapes. So I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and this must be the problem. And I made this giant video, and I put the thing back together, and it didn't fix it. So then I'm like, now what do I do? So I had the wild idea I had to take the DVD drive out that I'd already tested and it worked. I had to take the DVD drive out to make sure, or to get to the part that I needed to fix, or what I thought I needed to fix, and I didn't end up getting it back together, so who knows. But anyway, I had to take the DVD drive out in order to work on the VCR part. Well, the DVD drive was out, so I looked up comps on just a replacement DVD drive that's tested, and it sold for $24.99. So I paid $5 for this thing, and it came with the remote, and I was able to sell the remote, and I was able to sell just the naked DVD drive. And then I started looking into it, and evidently that's kind of a thing. And if you're buying these VCR DVD combos, they often have a broken DVD side. They often have a broken VCR side. But if it has a good, if you're testing it and the DVD side is good and the VCR side is not, there may still be a way to make money. I don't test them before I buy them, which is on me. But then I figured out, I think I'm going to start doing this. I have a couple that haven't sold that either that tested good, or I had a couple that I have set aside that are like, I have a couple listed for parts, and I don't remember what's wrong with them. I might take them out and retest them, and if the DVD side is good, then just sell the DVD drives, because they sell. This one sold real quick, but for $25, but some of them sell higher, and some of them will sell for $15 plus shipping, and at least I'm making some money. I paid up for this, and I don't like when people say the term paid up, and then they're like, I paid $9 for this thing that sold for $100. Because you can normally find it for $1, you think paying $9 is paying up. That's weird to me. Anyway, I paid $50 for this at Goodwill. It's a Dynatrap XL, like a bug zapper, I think, but it's to do a whole acre yard, and it retails at $200. I paid $50, and it was open box, and the box was damaged, but it sold for $125.99 free shipping, and cost me like $35 to ship because it's huge, and it went from Illinois to Florida, so I mean that's not super close. So if I paid $35 to ship it, I paid $50, I paid $85. I made money. I didn't make a fortune, but I had a $50 investment and it sold in a week, and that's a reasonably easy $40 to make on my $50 investment. I was really surprised at these two. The one's a Smith Corona and one is a Royal Custom 3. And I've had these sitting around for a long time. And if you've been reselling for 10 years or more, like I have, you remember the typewriters used to be boat anchors. They were drilled out bowling balls. You cannot sell them. And they are really coming up. I didn't want to do all the work to test these, and I've had them sitting around forever. So I listed the one for $39.99, the Smith Corona for $39.99. Plus shipping. Buyers all in at $83. I listed the other one for $49.99. Buyers all in at $73. And they sold in a couple of days. So if you can still find typewriters at yard sales for a couple of bucks. And if they're Royal or Smith Corona, then they're a name brand. I wouldn't buy electric typewriters because I think there's just more parts to break and they're less desirable. These are hipster typewriters, and they do. I was surprised how fast they sold, and I did price them fairly low, but they're as is, and they sold, and people were willing to pay $80-$90 to get themselves a typewriter, and they ship reasonably easy. I mean, both of these were in a case, so I just bubble wrapped the inside of the case, bubble wrapped the outside of the case, and put them in a box that I got from Lowe's. I was shocked when I got to this yard sale and I was looking around and I bought a whole bunch of cassette tapes. The guy had like 75 cassette tapes and he had 25 cents a piece on them. And there was not a bad one in the bunch. Turns out, I mean, there wasn't like Andy Williams Christmas or Jedediah sings the hits that made Johnny Cash famous or whatever. But there was, so it was all like Pink Floyd, Grateful Dead, Rat, Warrant, Leonard Skinner, Led Zeppelin, good music that has a following, whether or not, whether your tastes are for Warrant or not, I think is an argument to be had, but it was music that will sell, not the other stuff that won't. Anyway, I haven't even done anything with those at all, but I ended up making him an offer for $10 for the whole pile of cassettes, and he's like, yeah, that's fine. So but in that yard sale, there was an SE Racing seat, and it had a $5 price tag on it. I was glad to pay $5. If you're not familiar with SE, they are a very premier brand of BMX racing bicycle, and they make the trick bikes that are high end that you're only buying either online or at a really nice bicycle store. So this seat, I was like, holy cow. And it had a couple of little flaws in it, but for $5, I text one of my buddies, my wife's cousin that does a lot of BMX stuff, and he's like, that's a super nice seat, and gave me an idea of when it was from. And I said, what is it, $60? He's like, I think $60 is a really fair price. And he was right, because I sold it for $59.99 in like 3 days. So if you see stuff that's marked SE Racing or SE BMX, also you should be familiar somewhat with the SE lines. There's Ripper and Quad. What is that? Quad Rail, and they have their specialty forks called landing gear. Anyway, look up what SE Racing bikes are, because you could walk right past the gold mine if you didn't realize that SE has a huge following and is a very high-end bicycle. I did not know lava lamps were a thing. I mean, I had lava lamps as a kid. My kid has a lava lamp in his room. Well, my boys have a lava lamp in their room. But I saw this lava lamp with the box sitting at an estate sale, and I was like, huh, that's neat. And I looked at the box, and the box said 1990. And I'm like, somebody wants a 30-year-old lava lamp that's still in the box. And I looked it up, and I could not believe the comps on lava lamps. And this one, I paid $25 for it, and it ended up selling for $122.39. How on earth did I end at that number? That's not what I listed it for. Maybe it was an offer? I don't know. I don't know where we ended up with that. But the buyer's all in at $130 exactly. So maybe they sent me an offer. I don't know. But that's a real good return on my investment, and it sold within a couple of days of being listed. Fantastic stuff. Really good return on my investment. So if you see, this was Lava Lamp brand, which isn't exactly the original lava lamps. Lava Light. The original lava lamps are all British. This one is the American one that would have been super vintage. The only ones that'll do better than these is this same brand that has like rocket ship spires coming off the bottom, and it makes it look like a rocket ship and then have a lava lamp on the top. But $125 is not inconsistent with where these sell. So if you see, this is the larger size. It's not like that we had some when we were kids that were like more like this size. This is the big ones. Did way better than I expected. Found these Oakleys in the case up front at Goodwill with all the other sunglasses for $2.19. And I'm like, if you're going to put them in the case, why are they $2.19? Anyway, I couldn't be certain that they were authentic. They had Oakley stamped on them in one place, on one side, and on the other side it was super faint, like it was a mistake. And so I was like, I'm going to try listing them, and because that was the only thing that led me. They were really high quality sunglasses. I listed them for $60. They sold in seconds. So I listed them for $60. They sold immediately. I get the positive feedback from the guy, and I was like, I'm going to check this guy out. And he has that exact pair listed for $225. So I left some money on the table, but I paid $219. Got $60 for them. I'm tickled pink. This guy's going to have them sitting in his store for a while, and he's going to more than double his money too. Really good pickup on. I've never bought a pair of Oakleys that I didn't make a fortune on. So if you see Oakleys and you suspect that they're vintage and you think that they're real, I'd pick them up, because Oakleys are evidently coming back or have always been valuable, and I just didn't know it. Do a couple more real quick. There was this box on a shelf at a thrift store for $3, and I opened it. I was like, oh wow, this is the Bugs Bunny clock from the 70s. That feels weird. And I opened it, and it wasn't Bugs Bunny. It was the Bionic Man in pieces in this box. So I took it up to the guy who, same guy with the Power Ranger, who is getting quality stuff and it's not getting priced right. And I said, hey, this isn't what's supposed to be in here, but it is something that's pretty valuable. I'm interested in the box and the stuff in the box. Can I give you $15 for this set? It was marked at $3. I felt like that was being fair. I didn't realize that the Bionic Man was quite as valuable as he was, because I've had some figures before that didn't do well, but evidently these are parts of a much more desirable Bionic Man than the one that I had that had the you could look through the back of his head. Evidently that one's not super desirable because I had a hard time moving that. This one is much better. Not all Bionic Mans are created equally, but so I ended up selling the box to a guy who wanted just the box for the Bugs Bunny clock, and I'll put it up. I think I sold it for $20, including shipping. And then the Bionic Man pieces have been selling like crazy, but this one sold for $49.99 for this lot. This Coleman stove was $5 at a yard sale. I didn't know anything about it. I still really don't know much about it, but it sold for $69.99. Anytime I see old Coleman stuff still in the box, I'm probably going to pick it up as long as it's not cost a fortune. This one is a weird Coleman hot plate, runs a LP that they only made in the 50s, and some of them sold as high as like $250, but they were in super nice shape. This one's pretty nice shape, and I felt like I was pretty consistent with the comps. Evidently, Evelyn is sweeping the walls behind me, so I better figure out what's going on with that. These two Xbox shirts are from like 2007, so they're vintage originals. Even if they're not 20 years old, they are original to this Halo 3 game, and they're not new. You're not finding these very often. I paid $2.48, got them off the new clothes rack that they just rolled out at Goodwill, and I put them together. They weren't in super good shape. They were starting to peel, starting to lose some paint on the front. They sold for, I had them listed for $80, and I got an offer for $60, and I thought, man, that's good. Also, how about some American Girl dolls? You guys probably aren't going to find American Girl dolls for $2 a piece on the shelf with regular dolls. You probably also aren't going to have Evelyn tell you, no, you're not allowed to sell them. But both of those things happened to me. So I was able to pick these two American Girl dolls up. One sold for $45, and the other one sold for $44. One of them's going to Australia, so the buyer paid a whole lot more in shipping. But what I was going to say about these American Girl dolls is they have a tag. They're easy to figure out what age they are just by looking at them, and the older the better on those things. And I think I'll make this the end. So I went to an estate sale, and they had this girls Schwinn bicycle for $40, and it was a Fairlady. And Fairlady is the girls' equivalent of a boys' Stingray. So the Fairlady is the girls' equivalent of the boys' BMX Stingray, which is one of the most collectible bikes there is. And what's important about that is that most of the parts are interchangeable. So this bike would sell for like 200 bucks and I bought it for 40, but would probably take a long time to find the right buyer for that. But what I did was I took the seat off and it sold. I took the fenders off and they sold. I took the handlebars off and they sold. The pedals, I believe, are still listed. The tires and wheels I kept, like the front wheel and tire I kept as a unit, the back wheel and tire I kept as a unit, and they're still listed. But I was able to part this bike out and sell it super easy, and made all the money I would have made because the parts are interchangeable with one of the most collectible bikes there is. And the comps just aren't super good on the Fair Lady, but I did sell, I guess, the chain guard too. So, parting bikes out is a real thing and a way to make good money. Hopefully you learned something on this. Hopefully you got something out of this that you didn't know before and you're able to make some money buying and reselling. That's the point here. People ask me all the time when they're like, dude, you resell? Can you sell stuff on eBay? You got to show me how to do that. That's the point here, is that I show you what I buy, how long it takes me to sell, what I sell it for. I normally tell you what I paid for it, and we figure out, and you guys can watch my channel and a whole bunch of other ones, and you can figure out how to do this. It's pretty easy. That's wrong. It's not beyond anybody's ability. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of educating yourself, but it's not anything you can't do. So hopefully watching this video, you learned something. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you learned something specific, then leave a comment and let me know what you figured out. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the likes and the comments on my videos. They let me know that you're liking what I'm doing, and they let YouTube know that you like what I'm doing. That's how we grow the channel. So thanks for watching, and I will try to not be so far in between videos going forward. But when I'm selling $10,000 in a month, it's kind of hard to make time to get videos and watch the children. Thanks, guys.